McNair gives it to George, running right up the middle. Touchdown! Titans! There are no flags on the field! It's a miracle!
Safety, now you're one-on-one with the...
Shows why he's the man! In trouble. Sack!
One, ladies and gentlemen, Titan Nation, welcome back for another episode of Titans Around the World. Today, I have a group of gentlemen that are with me that kick ass. They're awesome. We have the transatlantic all the way from UK. You guys can start bouncing one from one and start introducing each other. Welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, good. Really good. Thank you. Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to jump all the way across the pond and join you.
Yeah, that's one thing that's kind of cool is like I said, talking about fans all around the world and stuff. And I mean, just like Cowboys fans, because again, I live in Texas, so I know they're everywhere. They're like always, oh, Cowboys fans travel all the world. Cowboys fans are everywhere, which is true. Don't get me wrong, but hey, don't count out the Titans now either. Don't count out the Titans. So.
Excellent.
Well, I was just going to say, actually, it's quite nice to be. We've been called many, many things, but it's been read that we've been called gentlemen, which is a good start for us with the wonderful introduction. But yeah, I mean, I love it when I walk around the UK and you'll see the odd. I mean, there's a lot of Jags fans over here, I notice, especially in my part of the UK. But whenever you see just random fans or random jerseys about, it's always nice to see that it's getting bigger and bigger over here, and especially the Titans. I mean, I love it when I walk past and I'll see people rocking all the jerseys, and it's great to see, and hopefully it keeps on growing.
Definitely. Miles, what first got you into the Tennessee Titans? What year, what player?
So yeah, I was sort of brought up around, we'll call it soccer for the American fans, but proper football as it might be known. I was always, not my whole life, ice hockey a little bit when I was growing up, as I was a Calgary fan.
Okay.
And obviously rugby over here as well is quite popular in the area where I am. And so I've always been into my sports, and American football was one of them where I had a friend that I worked with. He was a Bengals fan who would always tell me about the Super Bowl parties he would have and everything else. And he was like, right, we need to get you into the sport. Let's pick a team. And I know a lot of people either have family in America or different things that get some appeal into it. So mine was completely, look, I could be on a completely different podcast right now. It was pull a name out the hat. Got the Titans. It was the year we drafted CJ 2K.
Nice.
Not a bad year to sort of fall obsessed with a team and watch Chris Johnson run over the Jags and everyone else. So for me, it was a blessing in disguise, as it were. It was completely random, but I've grown to love the team and everything about them. And obviously, we've had quite a lot of lows in the time that I've been following. There's been a few heroes that have built up along the way with the likes of Chris Johnson and others, but yeah, so for me, it's completely random how I got into him, but I wouldn't have it any other way now. I think if you ask me to pick a team, I love the running style that we have going at the moment, and long may it continue.
Yeah, nice. That's cool that you got to choose. At least you didn't go for something very common, like the Patriots or something. You went. I like that. I respect that. And I'm glad that you picked the time.
I was told I wasn't allowed to support them. I was told I wasn't allowed to support the Patriots. So
good.
I think there was actually 31 names that were in that hat.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah, the Bengals fan brought me up well enough to know. Yeah, stay away from that one.
At least they were smart enough. What about you, Greg? What was the first thing that kind of like brought you into the Titans? What year? What player?
So I was watching quite a bit of football in the sort of late 2000s, but never really associated myself with a team until I went out to the US traveling, and just decided I was traveling all the way from New York to LA, right along the sort of south. I don't know how many cities I went to, but yeah, I decided whichever one my favorite city, I'll pick the team that's closest to it. And Nashville was a stop off, and didn't really think of it too much more than just a bit of a stop off. There was loads of other cities I was excited to go to, and just fell in love with the place, and pretty much spend every single year out in Nashville watching games. Pretty much my entire leave that I get, we dedicate to going to watch games somewhere, home or away. and yeah, it's just become part of life. And then we started probably the podcast a few years ago over here, and yeah, it's just gone from strength to strength.
Gotcha. So you go every year to a game, at least one home game?
Yeah, I mean more than that in some cases.
Wow.
Where I'm out there for week 1 and week 3 this year, and
Mm-hmm.
been out for playoffs, 2020 playoffs, when we had that run to the AFC Championship game. Went to both Baltimore and New England. Was actually on that particular trip was insane. I landed back on, I think it was Wednesday after the New England game, and then was flying out Thursday night to get out for the following week. So
Wow.
or following weekend. So yeah, it's pretty much like everything we do now is let's see what the fixtures look like. We always try and get out of home opener if we can, which luckily we are this year. But after 2 years of not being able to get out due to COVID, it's great to be able to come back and watch the Titans again. I was out for the Bengals game in January, and then pretty much the first week that the borders opened up again in November, we were out there as well for the Saints and Texans game. We won't talk about the latter of those two,
Oh,
but
nice,
but yeah, no, it's
wow,
pretty much
that's-
part and parcel of life now.
how long is that flight? How long is the flight,
Direct
dude?
is about 8 hours, 8.5 hours direct.
It's not
If you're
bad.
fortunate enough to get a direct flight.
Okay, so that's the problem, right? Is getting a direct flight. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, they're not as common. I mean, we've stopped over in the past in Atlanta and stopped over in Charlotte, and it's a bit, makes it another 3 hours longer pretty much, but
Oh, gotcha.
it's got to be done.
Cool, man. Well, like I said, you said you're going to the home opener. Will you be there that weekend? You're going the day of, the day before? What's
No,
happening?
I'll be there all weekend. We touched down on Friday evening, and we're there until the Monday. So
Well, perfect.
yeah, we'll be
I
around
have
that whole
a
weekend.
I have a Mr. Tyne event I host every year in Nashville. We're gonna meet there, man, for sure.
That sounds good. Yeah, drop me a number. We'll definitely meet up. I'll also be at the Two-Tone Blue tailgate prior
Yep,
to the
definitely,
game as well.
definitely.
So
Yep.
yeah, it'd be good to catch up.
Good people over there. But Brian,
Yeah,
now
absolutely.
it's you, man. You seem like you're hyped up. You ready to go, man. What's up, bro?
Looking forward to this season. Yeah, so what brought me to the Titans was actually an exchange trip with college, and I stayed in a place called Cleveland, Tennessee, which is over on the Knoxville side of Tennessee. And the guy I stayed with was volunteers mad, and he taught me the rules of the game, and obviously it's slightly different rules, but
Mhm.
I got back and I thought, I don't really like the game. I was a big rugby fan at the time,
Mhm.
and then the guy joined my work, and he was a big Cleveland Browns fan, and I just started watching it with him at work on an evening, and yeah, kind of just decided when it was time to pick a team. I love
Mhm.
Tennessee that much; it just made sense.
Nice.
It was nothing flash. It was my first season of the Tennessee Titans was the 2-14 season.
Oh God, yes.
It was the year before we drafted Marcus, I believe.
Mhm.
I think it was. It might be the. It was not. We weren't very good at the time, so we had to ride through the rough times. But no, I'm excited to see where we can go this year. I think we can go all the way.
No, definitely, man. I like that you know you want it, man. We hopefully this is the year, man. Hopefully it is. What about you, Adam? I know Adam. Again, I don't know. I think some of you guys follow me on Twitter, but I've done the spaces and stuff, and I've actually talked to Adam before, which is kind of funny. I had a random like spaces where we're just talking about food, and I remember talking to Adam. So that's the kind of what clicked on in my mind when we're like, "Oh, I think you were in my spaces." I'm like, "You were." And how's everything, Adam?
Was this sober Adam or drunk Adam? Because there's two completely different people.
I think he was drunk, to be honest with you. I'm
There you
not.
go.
Wait, time out. By the way, what's a good beer over there? Because I've tried to find at least a beer to drink here from over there in the States, and I couldn't find anything unless, like, because I just finished doing like a podcast with the German Titans, so I got German beer.
Oh, nice. What's that you've got? Let's have
It's
a look.
terrible. No, it's terrible.
Oh,
It was really rough. It was $6, but that was the only thing that was like sold here in like my local like liquor store. But I was trying to find stuff from like UK and stuff. And what do you guys drink?
do you know what? It's something that there's been an organization in the UK called CAMRA, which stands for Campaign for Real Ale,
Okay.
which got set up like back in the 70s, I think, because you just couldn't get a decent drink in a lot of pubs, and they wanted to improve that, and they kind of have. And I think we've always been quite snobby as a country about the quality of our beer. You know, our beer is better than anything else in the world. But I don't know if that's true anymore. You go out to the States and it isn't just Bud, Coors.
Yeah.
You know, you guys have learned how to do it properly, and learned how to. I sound really patronizing when I say that, but you can get good stuff, and it's a bit hard to say. Well, you've got to find a London Pride or something it'll be overpriced. Whatever gets exported will be overpriced. I think to experience beer properly, you've got to visit the country.
I agree.
You know, you might get a good bottle of something, but come and visit the local pubs and bars, see what you like, because it's also different as well. There's so much choice.
Definitely. Now, do you guys all live in like within each other, or are you guys far away? I already see Greg is like, hell no, I live far. I was like,
well,
we've got a north and south divide in this call. Let's be honest. We've got two northerners in Brian and Miles, and then myself and Adam live in the south of England. So,
gotcha.
But our distance compared to what you get in the US, I mean, it still only takes me the same distance as it would take someone in Nashville to drive to Memphis to go and see Miles. So the country also being that much smaller, yeah, pretty much. So it's the country being that much smaller is means that the distance isn't actually that huge in comparison to what you guys expect in the US.
To give you a bit of background on the Transatlantic Titans,
definitely.
I mean, like when I started supporting the team, we were the Oilers. You'll see I've got a Warren Moon jersey on. He's the guy that made me fall in love with the team. A bunch of my school friends back in the, I'm making myself sound and look older because I am, but back in the 1980s, we'd get highlights of the NFL came over to the UK on Channel 4. Yeah. And a bunch of my school friends kind of all picked a team, and I picked the Oilers. I just love watching Warren Moon throw it about, and I kind of followed the team without moving myself, which is sort of easier when you're 4,000 miles away. But yeah, probably a slightly unusual way of becoming a Titans fan, as relocation and everything that happened to the team would have been seen very differently over there. I get that. So it's a kind of a strange way of joining the team for me. But I didn't know any other Oilers fans back then. I didn't know any other Titans fans until relatively recently, until social media.
Yep.
There was a Facebook group, and it was called something else originally. Neil Donahoe started it, and he's not here, but he would fondly remember the early days of that Facebook group. And it's the kind of the era that Brian was talking about, the Mettenberger years, the Charlie Whitehurst, all those guys, the tough times. And there were like a dozen people joined this Facebook group to start with. And it was pretty small, and it, I guess, grew a little bit, but it was tiny until the Titans came over here. And we had that game in 2018 against the Chargers, and it kind of exploded from there. And as soon as, we had the first NFL game at all in 2007, and it was, I don't know if everybody knew what to expect. I don't know how it was seen in America, but all the fans here turned up in whatever jersey of the team they supported.
Seemed like it, yeah. Yep. I remember seeing that in the crowd, especially, even if you're wearing a Titans or a Chargers fan. I mean, you had people like, wearing, Aaron Rodgers jersey, but it was nice. It was at that time where, everyone took notice, right? And everyone wanted to be a part of that just for that event, right? Just even if you didn't like the teams, you just wanted to be part of that event, which was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think I've probably gone to most of the games that we've had over here, regardless of who's playing.
Okay. Have any of you gentlemen as well? Regardless. You guys have done the same, where you guys kind of just go to the game?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if we're free and we can, we'll be down there. It's just a good day out more than anything. With the Jaguars playing, it means you can cheer on whoever they're playing against,
and they're usually going to lose anyway. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I only went to the Titans Chargers game. It's the only one I've ever been to.
Okay.
But I live near the complete opposite end of the country, so it's it's got to be a fixture I really fancy to warrant spending that amount of money to go.
Definitely. I get you, man.
Yeah, the geography's against Brian in that sense, but yeah, for me, it's it'll take me an hour to get to Wembley Stadium. It takes me 20 minutes to get to the Tottenham Stadium, where they've been hosting a few games more recently. It's you can't not go when it's that close.
Definitely.
About 6 hours for me.
What's up, Brian?
It's about 6 hours for me.
Oh God, yeah, that's a little rough. Now, when did you guys start thinking about doing the podcast and stuff? Was it when they finally came over and they played the Chargers and Titans game? How long have you guys been doing the podcast together?
We should have got it up and running then. That might have made more sense, but
Yeah.
it was the following year for some reason.
Okay.
The other one of us who isn't here, Harry Maltby, he sent a message sort of out the blue suggesting it, and I've been thinking about it. I think we all had, and it just fell into place really.
Nice.
Are there people want to listen to us guys talk about the Titans in British accents? Sure. Apparently some do, not a huge amount, but enough to make it worth getting together every now and then. And
Nice.
yeah, it's just been good fun, and that's why we all do this.
Yeah, definitely, man. And like I said, well, obviously towards the end, we'll give you guys where you guys can put, give shout outs to your, Twitter handles or your Instagram, and even Transatlantic. If you guys haven't, followed them, check out their podcast. If you want to hear some guys talking in different accents, then you got it. And you guys know your stuff. So that's another thing that's good. It always depends on who you're watching and who you're listening to, because you don't want to just listen to anyone just ramble on, because anyone can just get on the camera and just start talking, just complete mess. But as long as you know what you're talking about and you have a general idea of the defense, offense, people will tend to listen, man. People tend to listen. You guys look like you guys are good looking guys too. You guys look like Brian looks like a party animal. I can tell Miles he's the gym rat. Greg is he's the traveler. And then you got Adam, man. Like you guys look like a good group of guys, man.
To be honest, we got
Harry.
Yeah, we really need Harry here. Harry's like the dreamboat of our podcast. He's the eye candy, and
he's the one.
Yeah, and he also has the knowledge that some of us lack in as well. But if I'm honest with you, it's more every week during the season, and we do a few outside of the season as well. We just have fun with it. We're not here. We're not trying to be serious. We're not trying to. We have elements of seriousness to the conversations that we have, but we're not trying to be, we don't work in the media. We're not Paul Kaharski. That's a joke, by the way. We're not these kind of people who claim that we know everything about this sport. We just sit down, have a chat, say what we think, and whether that is right, wrong, or anything in between. As far as we're concerned, we're having fun doing it, and if there's people out there enjoying it, then we'll do it for as long as we can.
Let me tell you that joke lands even over here and over there. So thank you, Paul Kaharski. So I mean, just gotta love.
I don't want to get into this too much, but he really, really wants the team to fail, doesn't he?
He just okay. What happens? He comes from you have to think about it. He's from Jersey. Okay, it's up north. They have a different mentality over there. Northerners are kind of like straight on, straightforward, like to be really, really negative. Unfortunately, I'm from Jersey. I understand that. So I kind of have to understand where he comes from. Yes, he can be a little bit condescending sometimes. It feels like but for the most part, I've had him on the show. He's not too bad. I mean, he does dig himself in a hole sometimes. So like it happens, but it is what it is. But again, it's always fun to make fun, though. Mike Rabel loves him, right?
He's worth keeping around just to see.
Oh yeah,
the
you
reactions
understand.
When
I was in training camp, I went a couple days ago. Mike Rabel was running up the sideline. I go, hey, Mike. I'm like, you excited to get the PK press tour? And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, and he just walked away. You can tell like he was just annoyed already. Like it's funny that you get those guys that I mean, he sees them every single day, right? Mike Rabel sees them every single day, and he's always asking these absurd questions. And I mean, unfortunately that's the stuff he has to deal with. But it's pretty funny, man. It's pretty funny when they kind of go toe to toe. But
I think we're quite fortunate. I think we're quite fortunate with Titans media. There's a lot of good guys. I mean, we've had Jim Wyatt on our podcast, and he
Jim's
was
awesome.
great value. And we had obviously Mike Herndon on a couple of times as well, who when he starts talking football, we all just sit there thinking we know nothing in comparison to this guy. So yeah, there's some good people, but yeah, PK I don't think would ever come on our show. I'm not sure.
As long as he never listened to it, I think we'll be fine. No, I'm not sure we're his vibe. I don't know.
Don't worry. I'll take the clip for like the trailer and put it and tag him just for this. But man, before we end the show, is there like a phrase, like a certain phrase that you guys say over there that's a little bit different? I know when the German Titans were on, I was like, yo, let me say something in German. I'm like, but don't let me say something bad, because I'm like, that's something I would do, because I'm Hispanic. So I would be like, yeah, say this in Spanish. It means, hey, how are you? It completely means something else. Is there there's a phrase that you guys like to say a lot, or no, not really?
It's weird because there aren't many of us. Okay. And like we kind of all say tighten up at the end of each podcast, but I always feel it sounds a bit weird with our accents. It doesn't quite hit. So if you've got any suggestions, I'm all ears there.
I mean, I do have a suggestion or two, but unfortunately I can't say anything until the home opener, because that's when they're gonna kind of announce it, and I'll talk off air on that because I don't want people to hear what I'm saying. But I don't know, man. I guess tighten up, or I mean that sounds good to me. How do you guys say it? Does it sound weird when you guys say it? I don't think so. Say it. Come on.
Tighten up.
Yeah, it doesn't sound.
We always say it at the end all together, pretty much, don't we? So, but it always works. We've got some inside jokes on the podcast that are pretty much for our own entertainment.
You got to, man. You got to.
Let's be honest with you, like
hashtag humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag is always a fun one. But yeah, I mean, there's 99% of people who probably don't understand that level of humor, and to be honest, neither do we half the time. But for some reason, we just keep persisting with it. Might come through one day and land. You never know. But now we've generally, I think the good thing is we've got a good mix. We've got people who are Adam's the level-headed one, is the way I see it. Is like he's always just kind of keeps things relatively level. I'm always known as the negative one. Miles is always the over-positive one, and it just works because it gives us something to bounce off against.
And then Brian's just in the middle. Brian's just in the middle. He's just like, whatever.
To be honest, it depends whether we win or lose that week, I guess, to a certain extent, where Brian's head's at. But the same with guys like Neil and Harry, they know what they're talking about, and certainly more than I do.
Well, like I said, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. I want to have you guys on maybe later on this year. Maybe we can all break down a pregame show or a post-game show, which would be fun. Probably post would be a little bit more fun. We can dissect a little bit more, have some jokes, and it'll be fun. But I want to say thank you guys for coming on, man. If you guys want to put in your Twitter handle, whatever you want to, shout out anything you want to shout out Harry, next time you coming on too. There you go. Go ahead. Whoever wants to start off, man.
Yeah, likewise. We go on, Adam.
No, you shout your own out. Go for it.
I was just going to say, likewise, we'll like to have you on the pod at some point during the season. There's plenty of opportunities there, and it's always good to have a different voice on there to teach us a few things, really.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a good plan. I mean, yeah, we're at Transatlantic TN. It's catchy, but that's our Twitter handle. I can't remember all of our personal ones, but yeah, you can obviously find us there. But if anybody listening fancies having a chat to us and coming on as well as your good self, then get in touch.
Yeah. Again, like I said, that's what this is about. That's what Twitter is about. That's what social media is about. Rooting for your team and getting to know good people all around the world. So I'm glad that I met you guys, and we'll definitely, Greg, I'll send you the message and everything. I'll meet you in September, man. And hopefully Miles, Brian, Adam, hopefully we'll eventually run across and end up seeing each other in the near future, or possibly in the few years running. Who knows, man? Life's crazy, but thank you guys so much for coming on. All right.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Hey, tighten up.
Appreciate it. Tighten up.
Tighten up.